The offseason is on. Who's going to show up and who's going to show out? I think it's going to be a really interesting thing to see every single day how the hype grows, because it is a hype game in OTAs.
Oh, yeah.
And they got started late today. A lot of folks are coming down in the dumps. When's it going to go? When's it going to go? And then afternoon, boom. There's pictures, there's action, there's stuff and business and things going on. And we have things to talk about. I know you guys have questions. So welcome to RGR Football. He's Dan Harms. I'm Ryan Tracy. And this is where we let you guys take over the show. We're going to answer your questions tonight. Every single super chat gets an answer right here on the channel. A lot of other will as well. But a lot of folks ask similar questions. So we're going to stack them up for you. We're going to talk topics tonight, especially around who and what is going on at OTAs. A lot of coincidental information today as well, or over the last couple of days, I should actually say. Dan, the video that comes out, it seems every player in this league now has their own video crew following them around, doing their thing, making the vlogs, the stuff, the business. I don't mind it, but do we get too caught up in it is my question to you.
Oh, I think it gives fans something to get hyped about, and I'm okay with that for the fan side. I think that we, as analysts and guys who talk about them every day, can also sometimes do the same thing, especially if it matches up with our priors. Like, that's the biggest thing. I was talking actually with Matt Waldman today about OTA and training camp headlines. How, if it matches up with our priors, I'm far more likely to take that head on and say, yeah, I'm going for it and going with it. So, and the Sky Moore video, I'm like halfway through it. It's nice to see him working out and getting things done in that regard. So I like that. Obviously, coming off of his film review, it's nice to have him drop that video of him working out after I do the film review. So like, that makes me happy to see that. Mm-hmm. Like, it kind of like stacks up, much like we were talking about Justin Ross a little while ago. And then all of a sudden we see videos of him doing stuff. So maybe somebody's just keeping an eye on the channel and dropping stuff that way. So
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's nice. And my daughter's going to get in on the action here to say goodnight to everybody.
Good night, Miss Avery.
Bye, everybody.
Awesome.
I love you.
Why did he do that?
He's laughing at you because you're being
I'm
cute.
laughing.
And you're sticking your tongue out.
Right? It's crazy.
Can I have a kiss, please?
It's like a windshield wiper, that kid.
Please.
Do.
Good night, sweetie.
Folks, I know this is what we're leading up to in Justin Ross. We're going to get there, I promise you. Right now, tonight, it's just more about information that comes out, things like that. I know a lot of folks are hyped about the wide receivers in particular because there's so many of them, and there's such a change. And I will say this, if you haven't finished Sky's piece, at least the latest one, there's a lot of little tidbits of takeaways there. There's also some hype in there. You gotta love it when the narrator is doing a couple things for you, or the player himself. That comes in handy. But I will tell you this: the camaraderie is real, and I think what's really nice to see is that Sky, as the guy that the other players are already hyping up as the dude who scored in the Super Bowl, that clout goes on and on and on.
It's real.
To be the central part, to see Jody Fortson like laughing it up and doing those kind of things, it's pretty easy to do in April. But putting that together in April allows that group to carry on through the season. I think that's kind of key, and Sky being a big part of it now, rather than the young kid that's just stepping into the fray.
Yeah,
that's the big thing that I took away from what I've seen to this point.
Yeah, that's the big thing. And the first year, you're trying to figure everything out, and sometimes it doesn't always work out the way you want it to. And I think that can happen to just about everybody. Like, it's not always going to be the best season. You're not always going to have the best stats and everything like that. And I don't think Sky Moore's first season went the way that he expected it to. 200 plus yards isn't what everyone kind of wanted for Sky Moore, but he's now stepping into a role in this offense that I think you could argue he's going to be very valuable, and everything he learned last year is going to help him become a functioning contributor to the Chiefs offense. So, having that hype there, I think he's more confident in himself now than he probably was 90% of the season last year. Making big plays in the AFC Championship game and scoring a touchdown in the Super Bowl probably helps that confidence too. So those are all things that we're going to be able to see come to fruition, I think, this year.
I gotta think it's gotta help the confidence. If it doesn't, I question what else has to happen.
Yeah, right.
Because I'm just sitting around waiting at that point. But Hey, Sky Moore, we've been talking about him more as the run-up to OTAs has gone on because we both do feel that he can make a breakout, that he has something at the next level to offer. So I'm excited for him. And I think that this is the way the whole thing has to go. When you watch, and I hope you guys do go check it out because I do like to see players produce their own content because it's unadulterated. It's not what the team's asking them to say. It's not what I'm telling you. I'm interpreting off of what they said.
Yeah.
It's their voice, and I think that means a lot. So check it out. In fact, I'll go back and I'll put a link to it in the description after we're done here. But the other thing that I think you notice is you see a lot of contribution from guys that were fringe players before, maybe on other teams, but are coming in. The stealth bomber right now is Justin Ross, that everyone is very excited about.
Yeah.
Just because we don't know what we don't know. He wasn't at rookie minicamp because of the IR designation, is what I've been told. That doesn't mean he won't be out here soon. I've scoured the images. I don't have any visual evidence yet. I hear there is some, but I don't have it. So we're not going to go there. But wide receivers are high on the list, and it should be because this is the point where they can make that step forward with Mahomes. That's my thought off the top for the first day of OTAs. They have practices tomorrow as well as Wednesday. So we'll have a little bit more for you as we go through the week. And obviously next week they will start again. There's 3 weeks of this phase. It ends, I believe it's June 13th is the final run through, which is mandatory minicamp. We'll find out about all the veteran statuses, et cetera, as we go through. But that's our top topic. What do you guys want to see? Who stands out to you? And we'll get to your questions starting now.
I was about to say, before we get started, we have probably should bring this up because Justin said he had some super chats from last night's premiere. He thought it was live. So I don't know if we have those on standby so that we can cover those.
I do.
All right.
And we're going to do Justin's as a chunk there.
All right. Sounds good.
And you guys will always be able to tell because we'll tell you. And I did say in the intro, hey, we're recording this ahead of time because we summertime when we do have some family things. We every now and then we'll have a Sunday night where neither of us can be live. Most of the time, you guys will know it right off the bat. So, Justin, thank you for your patience. We'll answer it and we'll get started now. I'll be able to pull those up. The problem is I haven't been able to create graphics to show them to you, so that's why we're holding off for just a second. So let's start with the other Justin. If you were the GM and you had to trade Patrick, what would you ask for? What do you think you would really get?
Whew, what am I asking for? Okay,
Everything.
so this is where I think this comes down to trade Patrick Mahomes. You actually need basically the entire future of an organization because he's going to bring not just an offense building like platform where he's going to lift your offense from where it was. He's probably going to put you immediately into Super Bowl contention. Okay. So it doesn't really matter where you are, unless you're bottom of the barrel team. I think you can still argue that he probably might be able to make you a playoff caliber team. And you can probably argue all of that. So we're talking minimum 6 first-round draft picks. Okay?
Yes, exactly.
Minimum. But you're probably going to be able to get 7, 8, maybe 9. That's kind of I don't know the ins and outs of those kind of deals. You probably would be able to get anywhere from 6 to 8. I think you could get feasibly for Patrick Mahomes. But you're probably also going to require some actual high-level players because you're not just going to say, "Oh, we'll just take 9 shots in the dark every year for now." No, that's not how that's going to work. You're going to need actual physical players. So it's a tough question to answer, but the conversation starts at 6 first-round draft picks, and then like a star-level player of some sort, in my opinion.
I agree. Like it has to include a player to at least bridge you. If you were going to move on from him, you got to continue momentum. Now it's funny that you say 8 or 9 first-round draft picks because I caught hell for saying he could win 8 or 9 Super Bowls, right? If it all came together, if he got another generational talent like Tyreek Hill, I still think that that's possible. People did not like that answer, though. I got to tell you. So it is what it is, and I'm just going to follow through with what that was. I do think that that's how much value he has, whether it's in the picks or in the Super Bowls, whichever we want to be talking about. I think that's where it lays, and that's perfectly fine. That's not a problem. If that's an issue for somebody, well, they got to take it up with the man himself, because I think he's going to prove it. I don't think it's up to us to decide. It's going to be
right.
Patrick. He's going to show you what he's worth. I'm not too concerned about it at all. So that's one starting point. Let's go to Steve, and then we'll get over to last night's that we missed. And I did find Justin's, and I am happy about that. We'll get to that in a second, one way or the other. With the new talent, do you expect the 5th and 6th cornerback positions, or how do you expect the 5th and 6th cornerbacks and the 4th safety to play out? This hurts me. I'll let Dan answer first while I find an image of it.
All right, so 5th, 6th cornerbacks. I think we're going to see Najee Johnson make the roster. I think that he was a corner, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe a safety. I don't remember exactly if he was corner or safety. I think I'm leaning towards safety. Najee Johnson was. So I'm trying to, figure this all out as we're going along. But they have – I do think Nick Jones is going to get an opportunity to crack the end of the roster. We'll see. I don't necessarily know how that's going to work out for them, but you don't have obviously Rashad Fenton last year was traded, so you have your normal guys: McDuffie, Williams, Snead, and Watson. Those are your 4. Then you're going to have guys like DiCaprio, Boodle. I still think Johnson maybe offers some cornerback safety versatility. You have that. You also have to consider that maybe they see Jamari Connor as a safety cornerback hybrid. So however they want to classify him, I think he's 100% on the roster. So, but I'll go for safety for him. So I would say he was a safety for. I'm trying to remember the corners that are in this room right now, to be completely honest.
There's a solid group of them. Well, I will give you my answer, and it does allow for a little bit more on the roster at those positions than honestly any other, because of what is the crying season for me, and it's because of this. This is why.
Yeah.
Mike and I had a great conversation 2 days before the Broncos made that offer to him, and he was really pumped to be a Chief. Now he is Denver Bronco, as much as it hurts me in my soul. But I will say this. Them electing, and this includes Andy Reid, electing to let Mike go, and I know there's a couple of fullbacks in OTAs, but I got to think, if I know Andy – the first thing he did when he got to town was go get Sherm. The second thing he did as soon as Sherm was retired, he went and got Mike. If Andy was going to have a fullback, we'd have a name by now. It's not going to be an undrafted player that makes the roster in that role. So I believe that Andy Reid is moving on from the fullback position. I think they might try to use Noah Gray a little bit if they really feel they need to, because I think Noah can block up in there if he needs to. But I think that's a roster spot. And I think that plays directly into 6th corner or 7th wide receiver. And I think that might be the shift that we see here.
I think that's where I lean is seventh wide receiver. But because to be honest, they're actually kind of deep at wide receiver. Like talent-wise, they have quite a bit of depth and talent at wide receiver. I don't know if you guys saw my tweet today. I believe what I said. This is the most talented in terms of pure talent and depth. This is the best group of wide receivers they've ever had under Patrick Mahomes in terms of the depth of the talent. Okay. Obviously, Tyreek Hill changes the top level talent. But after that, who was there? Right. I mean, we liked Byron Pringle. Byron Pringle was nothing in Chicago. He couldn't do anything.
We more than most.
Exactly. I think you can argue this is the best wide receiver group in terms of talent that they've had in Kansas City. So I think the 7th wide receiver makes a lot of sense. And going back to the cornerback problem here that the Chiefs are having, there's quite a few rookies on this depth chart as of right now. Lots of UDFAs are going to be making their names, but I think it's going to come down to the 5th and the 5th and the 6th guys. If they keep 6, I think it's going to be Boodle and Nick Jones, because of Nick Jones' his raw ability to find the football. That puts you like in a position to be on the roster. I think that makes a lot of sense for them. So I think he's there. And then, like I said, for the for safety, I think it's Jamari Connor pretty convincingly.
The only thing that I'm hearing is there's a possibility that Connor ends up after OTAs getting listed as a corner.
That's what that's what I was just saying. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Like, and I don't, I know we know he can play both, but where they list him officially is like, I think maybe the determining factor about what these counts turn into. Because maybe they do want to put him at corner so they can, maybe there's another safety they want to keep. We'll see how that works out. I know we both feel he can play both, and you can line him up as a DB. He could turn into Ron Parker 2.0, right? And they never give him a designation. He's just a
Honestly,
DB.
they should. I'll be very honest with you. They should. I think he could even play corner snaps if you asked him to, like legit out wide, depending on who's out there. That would be game specific. But yeah,
agreed. Steve, great question, and thank you for putting it out there. Okay, so let's go back to last night. And folks, we did do a live stream of a video we recorded together before it was complete. And now I'm going to try to blow this up so we can see everybody's comments a little easier. So Justin let it off and was the leading batter there. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate your support as always.
Appreciate it, Justin.
And did want to get you that shout out. We do very much appreciate that. I didn't see a question in it. So Justin, if you have one, I don't know if it's in the list yet, but we'll definitely get to you right now as soon as I look. The next one was Knicks fan. And thank you, Knicks fan, has always been a longtime supporter.
Always.
Do you think they pay Snead? And I actually did think they were going to do that going into the offseason. I'm starting to get concerned.
Yeah.
Do you have a feeling on it?
I mean, I don't have any ifs, ands, or buts about being concerned. I think you should be, because I think we've seen kind of how they feel about the cornerback position. They've drafted a ton of them, and they really do feel like they can get a lot of production out of the guys that they have. And if they can keep what they're doing right now going, churning out corners, as much as we love L'Jarius Sneed, unless he's going to take a far superior contract than he deserves, they might just say, we got to keep this train rolling. And one way to do that is to not pay guys that we can replace with rookies and niche guys, which they probably could. They're not going to get the level of play and level of blitz out of some of those guys. Sure. But I think that they can convince themselves to, mush together a nickel corner, an outside corner with what they've had. So it's starting to get that way, I think.
I'm sad to say I think I agree with you. Okay, so moving on. Next was, wrong way. Make sure I get the name. It was Maestro. Thank you, Maestro.
Thank you, Maestro.
I would love each of your predictions of every single player, including Toney. Which are you most interested in seeing most improvement or second-year slump? And I assume he's talking wide receivers.
I assume so.
So yes, there's 1,000 of them. Let me see if I can get back to the depth chart. We'll use Our Lads. Our Lads does a good job. If you guys don't know them, they do a good job of updating the rosters as they go. There's some projection in theirs, and so you'll hear me maybe disagree with them from time to time, but it's a great resource. If you don't use them, it helps, especially when you're looking across the league. So let's just start at the top. This is MVS, and I know he had his ups and his downs. He had some big plays. He had some big drops, but he's clearly one of the group that is in the core that is working out with Patrick. So not only is he going to be here, but he's going to be featured, I feel like. And I think he could push for, I'm not going to say 1,000, but I think he could hit that 850 or 900 mark.
That's, you guys know how outspoken I've been about Marquez. I legitimately feel that he could actually get to 1,000 yards this year. Yep. That's weird, isn't it? Like, it feels like he could. I do think that he developed a little bit of a chemistry with Mahomes last year. They missed on like 4 or 5 big plays down the field that were wide open touchdowns for big yardage. Like, we're talking 70+ yard touchdown bombs that they just didn't connect on. So yeah, he's in that realm for me, which is very weird. So I'm weirdly excited about what he could do this year. Honestly, he could end up pricing himself out too. Like, if they cut him, like, that's kind of how that ends up working. I think you might be able to trade him as well. But he is getting older, and I think they have a bevy of talent at wide receiver, and they might find themselves in a situation where maybe they can trade him. I don't know how that works and how they want to, but they also just could stand pat and say, look, he's doing a good job. He's under contract, and we keep him here. And I'm starting to be more, I guess, on board with that before, like now, than I was before.
Okay, fair enough. Then it comes to Kadarius Toney. Now, everything that we've heard from Brett Veach on down, certainly Patrick and Andy, is that they feel he can and should be a number 1 receiver in this league. And if you're WR1 playing with Patrick Mahomes, that means you got a shot at 1,000 yards no matter what, every season, in and out and whatever. The only question mark is, are you physically capable of getting there? And that's seriously a question with Kadarius, given his injury history. So my gut says he hits it, and they force feed him. And Rick Burkholder and the training staff has done enough. And this whole offseason down in Texas with Bobby Stroop, who does a great job in preparing athletes in non-traditional ways. My favorite thing about Bobby, maybe we'll try to get with him at some point, is that he does non-linear training, which is very similar to some of the things that I used to do with let's just put it, non-US athletes back in the day. So a lot of interesting things that you have to get creative about. This whole, for those of you who are fitness buffs, the whole kettlebell craze, that's from the 60s and 70s from the Russians and the Bulgarians. And I happen to have trained with some of those people. So some very interesting things going on. But it does help you in terms of pliability and all those things. And I want to see if that helps Kadarius. I'm going to put my money on him and say he hits a K and he hits 9 touchdowns is what I'm thinking.
Oh, woo. Okay, that's some spice. Ryan,
that's what I'm saying.
Spice on the food tonight, y'all. So, I mean, I got no problem as Ryan's camera goes ahead and dies for us.
Which is on power supplies. I don't know why it is, but I'll be back in a few minutes.
We need to figure that out. But he's Kadarius Toney, again, could be, stays healthy, legitimately could be a number one. Talent-wise was always there. And that's the one thing I remember coming out of Florida. The reason he caught my eye was because he was so electric. He was so unique in the way that he moved after the catch. And he still had that contested catch ability, to his game. So there's definitely that to be, to look at. But he's got to stay healthy. Can he stay on the field? Man, we have yet to see any of that prove to be true so far. So I would love to see if the work that he's been doing with Bobby and the rest of the training staff will pay off, because even in the short time that we saw Kadarius in Kansas City, they've wanted to give him the football. Every time they go out, they want to get him the ball. So I'm completely down with that. We've talked about Sky Moore. We both believe and think that he can have an impact in the offense. So I think I would love to see a rookie actually get a little bit better in that regard. And I'm not sure what happened to Ryan. It looks like he completely just left. But I'm excited. I'm excited about the wide receivers. What Justin Watson can possibly do as well. He's got a rapport with the team. So there's that too. There's a lot of wide receiver possibility here, and I'm just excited to see what they can do. But a fully healthy Kadarius Toney is a lot of fun.
I agree. Sky Moore, I know we're going to get bogged down, and I'm going to talk way too slow for this. So Sky Moore, I see him as that 800. I'm looking at a 5,000-yard season for Patrick.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 1,200 for Kels, and as we add up these numbers, I think Sky's the next guy to contribute, and I think he's somewhere in that 700-800 range. I think he scores double what he did last year. And then it comes down to Watson, Richie, Smith-Marset, Rashee Rice, Justin Ross if he makes the roster. All those guys are viable right now. Yeah. I think Ty Freifogel might be viable. We'll see what happens. Every notch down, I think it's about opportunity. So if you lose 8 targets, that equates to 100 yards in my book, is basically the way that I kind of knock them down as we go down the list.
I got no problem with that. I see this guy closer to 600-700 yards, but that's me. I try not to get my hopes too high, but I've learned with the younger receivers in this offense to just kind of wait and see what happens.
So spicy, it hurts, Stevie. I appreciate you. Yeah. And Miss Holly, nice to see you too. I do want to make sure that we get back, and I'm going to have to represent my screen and everything, but let's take Steve's question first, if you would, Dan, and I'll get that back up there.
Of course. Thank you for the question, Steven. Are we in a better position than we were after winning Super Bowl 54? So I think I can say the answer to that question is yes. And the reason is because Patrick's contract is in order. They know the cap hits for that, when it will be coming. They also know pretty much the outline of their team. Their defense is young. It's improving. It's probably better this year right now than it has been at any stretch under Patrick Mahomes. Their weapons are young and up and coming. They have a ton of youth at wide receiver. Their running back room is kind of weird right now. I'll be very honest with you. All three guys that are probably going to be your 1, 2, and 3 have real injury problem concerns. Like Pacheco, I know he played through all the injury, but we've talked about his running style. It does lend itself to injury. Clyde and McKinnon both have reoccurring injuries every single year. So that's the big thing here. And obviously their offensive line, chemistry-wise, will be still some work in progress, but the interior three, the last 3 years, now going on 3 years where they've had that. So I think you can say they are in a much better position this year going after winning this Super Bowl than they were last time.
Yeah, I think that's legit. I can't argue it against it. That's for sure. Let's see. Let me see if I can get my screen back up where it was. Bada boom. There we go. Okay. So I hope that covered the question there, Maestro. I was trying to, I think that worked. Let's get back to Chiefs Knicks. He was the last super chat from last night. Again, folks, it was a once in a while thing where we have to pre-record a Sunday Night Live, and I think I am going to call it Sunday Night Live going forward. We used to call it the breakdown. Yeah. We'll probably do the breakdown, right? We'll break it into segments. Sunday Night Live, I think, is going to be fun because God knows that the Chiefs aren't going to play on Sunday night hardly at all, so we might as well use it, right?
Oh man, no team no sleep all the way through the season,
right?
Man.
Right.
Just no sleep.
Chiefs Knicks fan was saying, I think due to Toney's injury history, with a DUE that I'm misreading, sorry, due to Toney's history, Rice has to come in and play big. I believe in him, and he was really happy to be a Chief. I agree. I think he's really happy to be a Chief as well. The question is going to be, how much adaptation can you make right now? Like, we might see him, and you might hear people with opinions that were out at practice, meaning national reporters. The beat reporters have learned, I believe, that they got to temper their expectations and their criticism. Yeah. The national reporters, I think, are going to give you some salt, but he's going to start at point A. I don't care where it is. All I care about is what happens in the next 6 weeks and where Rashee Rice goes in the offense in terms of being in position, being able to recognize where he has to go. I do think he will play a bigger part. After the big three, I think he could be the next receiver on this group.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to be the 4. I think that makes the most sense to me, honestly. Mm-hmm. And because he does at least one thing better than anybody else on the roster, which is go get the football. And I know that some people kind of disagree with that, but that's not really an argument, in my opinion. Sky Moore, if he were maybe 4 inches taller, could lay claim to that because his hands are so good. He doesn't drop the football. He does not drop it. Like that's one thing I think you're going to find out this year. If Sky Moore has that ball thrown to him in the area, he's going to come down with it unless he has to like readjust his body completely behind him, which he had to do a few times last year. So Rashee Rice has a different skill set that they don't really have. MVS for his size just doesn't go get the football. He does sometimes. Okay, I won't say he doesn't. He does sometimes. Right. He makes some weird contested catches and then he'll just drop something that makes no sense. So that's just Marquez, man. He just does that. But you gotta take it as it happens. But Rashee, if he has a better year this year than Sky had last year, I'm gonna call it a win.
Yeah. Hey, I'm all for it. I think year 2 is going to be a big thing, and then I am going to push Sky Moore pretty hard here. Stephen, again, thank you. Thank you for everyone in the super chats last night. That certainly won't go unrecognized. We will, if and when we have to do that again. Normally, one of us will be live. Hopefully, both of us through the summer. We'll see how it goes. But we will definitely wrap up on Mondays as well if we do miss them. So, Stephen, thank you. Chad, what player are you most excited to see this year for the Chiefs? Are you just like itching to see? Who are you looking forward to?
Most excited is Trent McDuffie. I am so excited to see Trent McDuffie year 2. The fact that he had like 4 picks last year that he just dropped. He's probably thinking about it all offseason. I want to see it. I want to see him come in and take a jump because I think that he did have some growing pains last year. Coming out of training camp with that injury, didn't play for the first 4 or 6 weeks of the season. I don't remember exactly how many games it was, but he missed that time. And he did come around to it. And, he had to play in the slot a little bit, which I don't think is really his skill set. He can, but it's not what his strength is. His strength is playing outside of the boundary. And I think that this year he's gonna take a jump, and I can't wait to see it.
I'm looking forward to Ligarius. The fact that he doesn't have a contract extension right now means he's going to be pissed off and playing for money. And I am here for all that fire. I think it could be easily his best season, unless they do the thing where they string me along all summer long and then he gets a contract as he walks into camp or something. And then I'll be like, okay, he might. I wonder if the Jones thing and trying to work the Clark thing, which I actually do think is more than just Chris Jones himself. I do think there are other people that are behind that movement. I think that might be what is delaying Ligarius. So we'll see. But a fired up and playing for his future Ligarius Need, I am here for that all day. Twice on Sunday.
Absolutely.
Cody, hope you're doing well. Got a nice email or text from Casey Bierko. So thanks for you who came out to Casey Bierko for the draft. We're going to try to get back there, and they're super cool folks, so support them when you can. Thought on the third QB rule change. I like it. I am one that feels there should be no game day roster. If you're on the 53 active roster, I feel you should be there and dressed and ready to play. But
agreed.
This allows them, I think, a little bit more leeway in terms of how they dress things out. But in the end, it's really just a primary backup that if he were to get hurt, you have the emergency, at least the way that I read the rule. Did you see anything different, Dan?
No, you can't play unless you're basically your first two quarterbacks are hurt. Like you can't get up off the bench and do any of that. Just so you're not bringing a guy on like, one of these electric quarterbacks that might not be doing much throwing the football, but you want to throw them on the field anyway, and they don't have to count against the roster. They don't want teams doing that. So like with Malik Cunningham with the Patriots, they don't want the Patriots being like, hey, go run the football here. They don't want doing that. So it's a good situation to be in because, the Chiefs, again, were one play away from having to have Jerick McKinnon as their quarterback in any game. Actually, no, the divisional game.
I gotta tell you though, there's two wide receivers on this team that play quarterback better than Tyreek Hill ever did, and I'll tell you that in Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore. I'm
Travis
just
Kelce
putting it out there. Yeah, but we've seen Travis try, right? And even Travis knows he should not try.
He's too much of a tight end now. He's too far removed from it.
I could see either Sky Moore or Kadarius Toney throwing a pass to Patrick Mahomes this season.
They will not. They won't throw it to Patrick again. I promise you, they won't do it.
Okay.
I would put money on that to happen, not to happen. I would put money on it.
We're gonna put money on it. You know what? We're gonna make a board. We're gonna put a board up. Once camp starts, we'll start making our board bets, and you guys can track them. Yes, that's exactly what we should do. But Cody, thank you for bringing up the third QB rule. I hope it never has to be used by this team. I'll root for some other teams to have to use it. How's that? Apex, welcome and thanks for the super chat. Appreciate your support. What's more realistic? Casey repeats as Super Bowl champions, or Casey has a top 5 offense and a top 10 defense? Thanks for the content. Thanks for being here. The content's worthless unless you guys watch it. So cheers.
Yeah, right.
What do you think is more? What's more realistic?
I think more realistic is the second part, but I think if that happens, they're winning a Super Bowl.
Board bet. I think it's more realistic they win a championship just like they have without a top 10 defense.
Well, that's what I think. I think it's more realistic that they do it, but at the same time, if they have it, I think they win the Super Bowl. So it's a thing for me. Like if they get a top 10 defense, I can almost guarantee you they win a Super Bowl. I'd be willing to bet a lot of money that if they ever had a top 10 defense with Patrick Mahomes, hey, just in for a Super Bowl win. Like I would just say it. So the question for me is like more trying to figure out which one comes first. And that would be the offense and the defense being top 5 and top 10, because you have to do that first before you win the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. Okay. So it's a yes and a yes. Okay. I'm with you. There's no no's in there. I like it.
Right. Apex, there is no no.
Apex, thank you. We appreciate you and your support. And welcome to the memberships.
Appreciate it.
So, folks, if you haven't seen the memberships, you get in the Discord. You can hang out with the guys for the channel that hang out there. Stevie's in there quite a bit. I drop in every now and then as well. It's a great community that is just RGR members. You can get that easily by becoming a rookie level member in the channel and connecting to your Discord. you're in Lake Flint. Super easy. You also get discounts on all the gear, like the Mahomes stuff, like the RGR stuff. We're going to have some new things in the fall. We'll see if still it's Teespring. I'm messing with that. I'm starting to do the off-season maintenance around the sites. We'll see how it happens. But Apex, welcome, and I hope you enjoy it. Let's get to Lee. Thoughts on reports of Chiefs calling teams about wide receivers. I haven't seen a report like that from anybody I trust. Have you, Dan?
No, I haven't seen anything
Okay.
reliable, which is something we should all keep an eye on at this point.
Yeah, it's gonna get interesting. Now, we still have the whole D-Hop thing in there. I think that's two freight trains running at each other. The whole I want out and then, I never wanted to go anywhere. I never said trade me. I think that's all BS. And I think there's going to be unhappiness, tornadoes,
Yeah.
Apocalypse will abound. So that could still become a thing. But actively calling to try to get other receivers, man, I like the fact they're 8 deep right now. I could see Justin Ross making this roster too if he is healthy.
Yeah.
Had a couple of shots of him in Sky's video, by the way. Looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Last month in April. So I feel like, again, this is like, don't ever let him be without a weapon. You can never go back to Kels and a receiver. It's got to be a crew. So maybe they are making calls. I don't think it's going to be anything super, super deep, though. Maybe some guys that are frustrated elsewhere, that maybe their teams are ready to move on from them prematurely, just like they did with Toney. I mean, I really look forward to whoever the next giant receiver is that comes to Kansas City. So it should be entertaining. Thanks,
Wandale Robinson.
Right? Come on out. Steve, hope you're doing good. Who replaces Juan? Is that why Chamari was drafted? No, it's going to be Brian Cook. He's going to play the deep and intermediates. Chamari's going to be the guy that's going to be more like this is my opinion. I think they're going to use him more like they did with Tyron, where it's nickel corner and robber safety, not like box safety coming downhill in the run like you saw Cook do last year and Dan Sorensen before him. I think it's going to be a little bit more finesse, a little bit more coverage for Chamari.
I think it has to be because he's not a very good tackler. So you have to kind of take that away from him if he's coming downhill. He wants to hit people. I love the mentality. He wants to hit people.
He does.
He's just not very good at doing it and wrapping up. And he's very, very active at the feet. And being active at the feet in the NFL is going to make you miss a lot of tackles. So just keep the shoulders in the chest and try to level some people. As long as we don't turn into Rashad Fenton, I think we'll be okay.
He wants to be a hitter. That is for sure. I believe that. Gary, hope you're doing good. And folks, say hi to Gary, one of our mods. Stevie's in the house. I think Stevie's one of our mods as well. If not Stevie, I got to change that. Aaron, I know, is away doing things, so everybody say hi to him. How do you feel about the Chiefs? Who do you feel will be the Chiefs' toughest team to beat this year? Like just matchup wise, what they did in their offseason. Who's your gut tell you?
It's probably the same. It's still Cincinnati. Cincinnati for me is still, because Lou is still there. Their defensive coordinator is still there. If he left, things would be a little different. But he knows how to scheme that defense up. Even if they're going to lose some of their players from last year, he knows how to scheme it up to make it real tough on the Chiefs. And their offense is kind of built to go toe-to-toe with the Chiefs. Now they want to run the ball a little bit more, and they have the 2 skyscrapers on the outside that can take advantage of some of the less willingness to look and locate the football from some of the corners at times. That's just a kind of a fact of life. So you go with it, and the Bengals are still, at least in the AFC, the toughest team, I think, for the Chiefs.
Also, everybody say hi to FLDB. Another one of our mods is in the house. Nice to see you. Avery's here. We're going to get to your comments. I'm behind you guys, but we are going to get caught up. We'll start speeding up right now. How's that? Scotty was asking which of the returning wide receivers will make the biggest leap in production, and whichever receiver is going to disappoint the most. Whew. I still feel like the leap is Sky. That's where I'm laying with it. I think the disappointment might come in Richie James only because I don't know that he's going to get enough target share to make us all feel like he's the investment we were hoping for.
Yeah, I think people are going to talk themselves really into Rashee Rice, and I think there's going to be disappointment there. Like they did the same thing with Sky Moore last year. I asked you not to, but you did it anyway. I think Sky's going to have
sorry,
the big jump.
I couldn't help it.
and Rashee is going to be more of the disappointment factor. I will say that Toney has some of that too. He gets hurt, people are going to be real disappointed.
Yeah. But again, that's why you build out a fat crew, and that's why I'm leaning more and more towards 7 deep on the 53.
I'm with you.
Oh, I hope so. Lee, thank you. Thoughts on the Dalvin Cook rumors? No trade, only if he's released, and then it would have to be, just like we've talked about all offseason, it'd have to be a veteran minimum with incentive type contract, just like most of the vets are coming in with. I mean, when you look, we'll talk about Amenihu, I'm sure, at some point tonight, because he's a value in what he's bringing to this roster. And I think we maybe forgotten about him a little bit this offseason, but he's a guy that you want to keep an eye on, because I think he switched to 94. If I did that wrong, apologies. He's a Chiefs player that's out at OTAs. But I do think he's bringing more than the expectation is, and so we shouldn't forget about him. But Dalvin could be in the same kind of situation. I saw somebody say in my DMs today that they thought he reminds them of Jamal a lot. And I've never really felt like that, but if that works for you, I'm all for it.
I just like what he would bring. But you're also, I think that they're finally fixing the problem that he's had over the last couple of seasons with his shoulder continuing to separate. So that's the big thing, is if they get that right and he's healthy, yeah, I'm all in.
Yeah, agreed. Folks, hit the Discord. You can check it out just to have a look around at this link here. It's also in the description. FLDB is our master controller over there, because he knows more about Discord than I do.
Any of us, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I can only do so many things. You know what I mean? But check that out. I think you'll dig it. You can always come back and join the memberships and get connected. Can Sky reach Amon-Ra St. Brown level this season, Des? I think that'd probably be towards the ceiling of my expectations, but it's within the realm of possibility. If people are scared of MVS and Toney, who reaps the benefits? It's going to be Sky.
Yeah, it's really more about how the way you use these players, because they utilize their entire offense around Amon-Ra St. Brown at times. Like, he's the focal point of that offense.
Yeah.
And Sky Moore is never going to be the focal point of the offense. So you probably could scheme touches to him in the same kind of way. I do think that, like Ryan said, that's probably his ceiling type of player. The way that the lines are using him in the short to intermediate to just churn out first downs, and you can use him in the red zone a little bit differently. The difference is that Amon-Ra is still a bit taller. Like, I think he's 5'11", 6 foot, and you can do a little more in the red zone. It's why he scores more touchdowns, is because he's just got a bit of a bigger frame to be able to score. But I don't think that Sky is unable to do that. I think that 6 to 7 touchdowns a season is something he could be able to shoot for, depending on how long you expect that to take.
I'm with you. I will say this too, Des. This guy's going to have a lot to do with it, as far as I'm concerned. I think they have to get back to some of the creativity you saw when they were just starting to take Tyreek out of the running back gadget role and make him into the guy that he was. I'm really interested to see what we learn about Matt Nagy's contributions and how we see it evolve, because I think when we get to that point, we're going to recognize it on the field pretty easily, is my thought. And Des, you had another one. Thank you, sir. How do each of you rank the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL? That's a great question. I'm pretty boring, I gotta tell you.
Are you?
Yeah, I really am. It's Mahomes,
Okay.
Burrow. I'm sorry, Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Herbert, then Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's 4 AFC guys. Oh wait, now it's 5 AFC guys. Dang.
5, yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm easy to predict. I don't see anybody stepping out of that right now.
I'm it's tough. It's tough. I think Joe Burrow is the second best quarterback in the NFL. I'll be very honest with everybody. I believe he's right under Mahomes in terms of what he can do. And I would put Josh Allen right after him, because there's still a lot of Josh Allen things that he does that you shouldn't probably do and get away with. And he does sometimes get away with them. But I think we saw last year, sometimes you don't. And that's why he's down there for me. And then it would be Herbert, because he hasn't gotten to that point yet. And then I'm taking Trevor Lawrence over Aaron Rodgers. Sorry.
Are you? Okay.
I am.
Because I'm close.
It's
Lamar Jackson. I'm close.
And that's the thing. Last year, he was injured. And Aaron Rodgers last year started to kind of nosedive. He still makes some of the throws that you're just like, only Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes can do that. but I think the level of play consistently last year and an ascending player in Doug Peterson's offense, it lends it to Trevor Lawrence for me.
Yeah, and I would hope that we see an evolution for Hurts as well. Not just his legs, and take the next step. I think he has it in him, and we just have to see if they put that offense
The
underneath.
Super Bowl was a big eye-opener for a lot of people. Like, that was a game that I don't know if many people expected him to do as much as he did through the air. I'll be honest. I don't know.
Great question, comments. As of today, if you had to bet, is this draft class closer to 18 or 22? Right now, today, because we haven't seen a damn thing they've done.
Yeah, I would have to say 18 right now, because you can't know. 22, we didn't know 22 would be 22. Like, you didn't know any of that stuff.
Yeah. Oh, does Donovan Smith have a better year in 2023? Great question, Ben. And I think that he does. Yeah. If he's healthy, which everyone seems to think that he is, and not just his agent, but everyone, I do think that he bounces back and looks more like the 2021 version of himself.
I'm with you. If he's healthy, I think he has a much better year. Like, it doesn't take that much, in my opinion.
Yeah. Do we still need a wide receiver to take the top off of the defense? Is that wide receiver on the roster? Yeah. You do want one, but that's MVS's role pretty much. I mean, yeah.
That's what he's there for.
I think it's enough. I don't know if everybody's super scared of him, but it's enough. Alfred, great question. What's your take on Bushman? I like the guy. He feels like a more athletic, and he has softer hands than Blake Bell, and Blake Bell has pretty good hands. He came off that knee coming out of college, so he never got started. And I'm hoping that he can push for the roster this year. I just haven't seen anything from him. So he's kind of a question mark to me still.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see, but he's really, again, one of those tight ends that you're just kind of hoping. And he's been in the league a while. He wasn't able to crack, and unfortunately got hurt. I don't think he was still cracking, Noah Gray and Blake Bell and Jody Fortson. And those guys, you can argue, are replacement level tight end players. So at the same time, like, you want to have hope for him, for these guys, but I still think that they're a little lacking at the tight end talent department, personally.
Fair enough. Want to shout out Doug. Glad you made it back, Doug, and FLDB. Gift membership. Love seeing those fly around. Always fun.
That's awesome.
Brenda, nice to see you, Miss Brenda. Everybody's coming in. I am glad. I know sometimes not the easiest way to get there, so welcome. Which UDFA are you most excited about? Chat, feel free to answer as well. Please. Anybody got you fired up?
Not yet. But again, I haven't seen any of these guys on the field yet for the Chiefs. Like, I haven't been able to see anything yet. So, like, I want Remigio to kind of come in and be a return guy. I think that would be fun for the Chiefs. It would make, guys like Richie James a little expendable. And you could also save some money if Remigio comes in and he's like your most electric returner. Yeah, I'm on board with that. I like that. You add some speed to the offense. I love that kind of stuff. So probably, if I'm more excited about that, it's the possibility that a guy with that electric ability can replace what Kadarius Toney does as a returner, because I don't want him returning punts anymore. I don't want it.
I'm with you. That makes total sense. The two guys I'm excited about are Cam Jones, because I think he can make the leap and play a good role early and become a guy that gets on the field, especially in passing situations. And I like Hardy Anderson, the App State offensive lineman. They moved him in and have him listed at center now. So he's going to be pushing Austin Ryder, which I think is a big plus.
I like that.
I know, right? I think he's got like 5-position utility too. So, like, he's a guy that could be the next Nick Allegretti, is my thought.
All right. I'm on board with that. I love Nick, but
Right? Hey, it is what it is. It's getting older. Everybody does. Big Jack, sorry I missed you. Are you guys falling for all the Chris Jones trade talk? Not falling for it, because it's not coming from anybody that I think actually knows anything inside Chris's camp. I don't think it happens. Do you, Dan?
People, this is just the ongoing thing. Someone puts it on Twitter, someone else quote tweets it, and everyone just starts talking about it.
I hear you. It's not real till it happens. Apex, thanks for this. Just announced Brady is in agreement to become part of the Las Vegas Raiders ownership group. Knew this was coming. I heard from an agent a couple days ago, thought it was a done deal. I love this, because it makes them so easy to continue to hate the Raiders forever. This is going to be magic. And I think it keeps the fire in the AFC West, when honestly, I'm not sure anybody can compete with this team right now.
Not right now. No, they just don't have it. And the Chargers Charger, just kind of what it is. And I think the Raiders are going to be close to a dumpster fire this year. I think Josh McDaniels gets fired in the middle of the season at some point, and they just get kind of derail.
It could easily be that, dude. It is not hard to see that from here. You're preaching to the choir. I'll shut up. Luis, so do you think that they will extend Willie as this is his final year with the Chiefs? And I am glad that you bring Willie Gay up because I am a Willie Gay fan.
Yeah.
But I just don't know, man. This is what happened today, I'll tell you that. And I like to see it, but Drew Tranquill made two things clear in the last couple of days. That they did not promise him a starting job. That's a plus for Willie.
Yeah.
But also that he's here to compete. And from what I understand is they were out there together for a few snaps today. I liked that.
That's what we've been at. That's what we said. That's what we were saying.
Here's what it is for me. And looking at that draft class, you want to hope that somebody earns a second contract out of that class. I think some will. I would like to see it be Willie Gay, but he's got a trigger, and he's got to become the guy that he can be in pass coverage. Drew Tranquill is actually going to help him because of his experience and his natural ability in coverage. If Willie can trigger and actually live up to his potential, he should get a contract to come back. It won't break the bank, and you will have a trio at that position for the next 3 seasons at least.
Yeah, and Tranquill, this is the one thing that we said about the whole thing. If he can come in and play in passing snaps as the Mike linebacker in place of Nick Bolton, you're going to save Nick Bolton. He's going to be able to do what he does best, get off the field in obvious passing situations, and you're going to raise the floor and the ceiling of that passing defense. That's huge. It's huge. I can't overstate that.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. All right, folks, we got some super chats we got to get to, and we got to speed up because I'm slow as hell today. Which 3 or 4 contracted players would you live available to be picked by a new team? Would you leave available?
Okay, theoretic. Okay, leave. I got you.
So contracted players that are on there, probably Nick Allegretti, Smith Marset, and Najee Johnson probably.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think DiCaprio Boodle might be one for me. And I think I would say Justin Watson, he's got 2 years on his contract. I would do that. And I think Allegretti as well. I think that just makes the most sense because he's a good player. He's not a somebody you can't replace, but it's also a guy an expansion team would desperately kind of need, a guy, a utility player, interior 3 guy that's going to come in, give you above average snaps wherever he plays, but he's not gonna be a star, which I think that's what you're doing there.
Yeah, and for him, I'd like to see him get an opportunity to start. I think that'd be great. Mo, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but we do think it helps. Bobby does some interesting things, and I think what you'll see everybody works with ends up being a little bit more pliable, a little bit more flexible. I think that helps with injury. And from what we saw in Sky's video, I think that's the buy-in is what is most impressive to me.
Yeah.
Let's see. Avery, what are you all more interested in seeing? The OTs or the moving around of the DL or where they line up predominantly? For me, it's the DL. Most can line up all over, and that's the thing. I'm seeing it the same way, Avery. Like this could be a mush. You could have a rotation. They could change positions every damn snap for all I care.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, and that's the most fun part about this. That's why Steve Spagnuolo and Joe Collins' mind meld that's happening right now is a lot of fun. Like they're utilizing each other's strengths. That was the one issue that I've had with Steve Spagnuolo coming into this season. And, last season at times, I was really frustrated with the way that he was handling defensive end and defensive line situation and configurations. We're seeing a change now, and I'm happy with it. I think it makes the best for both of them.
I agree. And I will say this too. What I'm most interested in, Avery, is the offensive tackle position because I think that's the most concerned I'll be if it doesn't work out. Am I one of the few who hit the thumbs up button? If you guys would hit the thumbs up right now, we would appreciate it. Make sure you like and sub as well so you become one of us. Thanks for the show, and thank you, King Jamie. I appreciate you. Let's see. KL, nice to see you back. Thank you for the support, buddy. What areas of the rookie CBs improved in last year, and how do you see their play in the Super Bowl? CB3 is an interesting camp battle. Yeah, I'm not sure it's a battle, though. I really don't. Like, I'm glad Josh Williams came back, but I think he got a little buried by the competition in midseason. I think Jalen Watson is ahead of him, and I think he will be ahead of him even in camp, post-camp. And then obviously the Jarius and Trent. The question for me is, where does Chamari fit in? Does Nazi push? Like, who's got what?
I think Nazi's going to push, personally. I think he's going to push to play a little bit, but we'll kind of see. He's probably not going to early season stuff, but I think that I still think that there's a healthy competition between Williams and Watson. I don't think it's set in stone just yet, but I do think that Watson played better. Last year, you could really see his understanding of zone kind of help him out. I think that really was the thing that separated the two is that Watson was much more comfortable playing in man and zone, and Williams was more comfortable playing man. But they switched him out a lot, and they had this system where if one guy struggled, they threw the other one out there, and they kind of played better that way. So I'm okay with how the system they have right now, personally.
Cool. I'm down. Which Super Bowl run did you guys enjoy more and why?
Oh, the Super Bowl runs, I enjoyed the first one more. And that's not because this last one wasn't great, but the comebacks. The comebacks were just the Houston game was phenomenal. And in my memory, I was on a cruise ship when that happened with a bunch of Texans fans. And I was in a hot tub watching the game on a big screen, and they got Texans fans jawing at me, and I was like, y'all wait, just wait. And we didn't have to wait that long. So that one was definitely the comebacks they were different.
I like this last one better because it was hey, you can't do anything without Tyreek Hill, and it was a big you to everybody. So I'm here for that. Steve, what would it take for Chanel to replace Mike Bolton as the Mike? Leo's strength is Bolton's weakness. It would take a significant and prolonged injury to Bolton because he is the Mike. It is not going to change. Here's the nice thing, though. If they decided on a whim, and I keep saying this just as a possibility because I might be the only one who could see it, if they want to go 3-4 for a base for a while, even if it's just for a game or two, you could have Chanel and Bolton out there together as the interior guys. And I love that because you don't know where the blitz is coming from then. And I'm sending everyone.
I just want to see him utilized. Because again, day 2 pick that you're shoving at a position you don't play very much, that's frustrating. Yeah.
I'm with you. Justin said we should make Lego a mod. Lego, let me know if you want in. I'm down with that.
What up, Lego?
You've been here a long time, and I appreciate you. Papa Bear, hope you're doing it well. And hey, thanks. I'm trying to keep up with Dan, buddy.
Appreciate it. Ryan, he's far too modest.
Sunday Night Live is catchy. Okay, thanks, Holly. Then we'll officially go that direction, and we'll keep it up. I'm glad you confirmed that for me. That's awesome. Got yours, Maestro. I hope you're doing well. Okay,
glad you sent it. You followed up on it. We appreciate the super chat from last night, man. We really do.
Okay, cool. So we did cover the topic. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. What's up with those cookies, Dan? Dude, I bookmarked that recipe. What the hell?
Those were the best cookies that I've ever made. Hands down. If you're going to make cookies, brown the butter, okay? Brown the butter. That's the secret to success. Promise you.
I'm so here for this because my daughter started making them. My wife's more the baker, and I don't bake at all. I'm terrible. So they're like, Dad, how do I brown butter? This was a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, well, stir it. Don't walk away from it. It's like a roux. Just let it brown. Don't let it cook. So they're like, oh, okay. So they're starting. So I'm gonna put them to work. It's gonna be cool. Justin, thank you again, sir. I think the Chiefs always have a top 10 D. Our stats are just nerfed because of our O. Everyone else targets us as much as their personal Super Bowl. That's a very good point. Like, you get not just their A game, like you get their A+ game every time somebody plays the Chiefs. But I will say the offense does force a more specific kind of defense because they teams in a position where they have to throw more. It's when they don't. It's when the offense doesn't live up that it makes that run game a little bit more susceptible, a little bit more play action. It just kind of turns to a spiral. So I totally feel where you're coming from. I hope they can live up to a top 10 D. I would love that because I'd rather win ugly by 3 points, like 16-19 with a good defense. That's just me.
Yeah, you're an old soul that way. You want
I
the
am.
touchdown winning.
I'm just
fullback
old, bro.
run. Well, there is that.
Season prop bets. Yep, we were going to do it. And in fact, maybe that's where we'll do it. We'll post the prop bets over on Rogue Nation, and you guys can track them there. And we'll make additions. I'll make a whole new room for that. And well, for FLTB will have to help me because I'm dumb. What do you think about Thursday night? What do you think about Thursday night football flex rules? It only affects weeks 13 through 70, so the window is small. Yes. And honestly, there's going to be a lot of primetime games in those weeks for the Chiefs. So is one of the Thursday nights there? I don't think that it is. It's a Monday night.
I mean, they already have two.
Yeah, it's Sunday night on week 13. It's Monday night on week 15. Could they get flexed? I don't think so. But hey, I think the teams are going to like it just because I think what they're going to do is they're going to flex some playoff teams out of there. Because I do think the NFL has concerns about protecting the playoff product.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Let's see. Avery, I'm with Ryan, but I hope Dan is right. We don't throw it to Patrick. But you're with me, and that's what's important. Realistically, how many sacks will Felix have this season? Your thoughts?
I'm going to say he has 7.5 sacks.
Ooh. Okay. Right up there with Karlaftis. I got it at 6. I am a little bit concerned about when he gets in. I'm not sure about this thumb, and it might keep him out of all the OTAs. If it does, then it's going to be a little bit slower to progress. We'll see. But I would love if they just bring him in on third downs and throw him outside the tackle and let him pin his ears and do his thing.
That's it. I'm telling you, that's all it takes. And you guys, I have some very interesting stats that I have found and compiled for my George Karlaftis film review this week. Make sure you watch that when it comes out. You'll want to. It's going to be good.
Yeah, who, this guy?
Oh, that guy right
that
there.
Guy.
Yeah.
I like that guy. Yeah, he's going to be fine. I'm interested to see what you come up with because we might have a board bet on him too. This might become a whole thing. This is going to be like Matt Berry and who's the first host of
We should have a whole show. We should do a whole show where we go over these back and forth and make bets. That's what we should do.
Yes, I think that's a great plan. We will come up with that. I'm just reading through some of the other questions here, folks. Make sure I'm not doubling up on topics. We talked a lot of receivers, so I'm going to let those go.
Yeah.
Nice to see you, Doug. Glad you're back. Which draft pick are you really excited about, and which do you temper your expectations for?
That's it. It's Felix.
Yeah.
Like I'm super excited about Felix, but I have to temper myself because again, he's not a complete player yet. He's a pass rush specialist at this point.
I was wrong before, folks. 94 is still Malik Herring. He just lost some weight, and I'm really happy to see it.
Really?
Yeah. Did you see that picture before?
That was not what he looked like. Okay.
No, yeah, I'm pretty intrigued by that. So good for Malik. That's going to help him. Ameni, he was wearing 90, by the way. That's where it's listed right now officially. We'll see if that changes after OTAs, but some of those guys move around. Vets are going to pay some dudes to give up their numbers. I'm going to tell you that. Okay, let's see. Dez, thank you, sir. Which of these young quarterbacks retires without a Super Bowl win? Wow, the guys I assume you were talking about in our top 5. Whoo!
Oh, wow.
So Lawrence, Burrow, Allen, Herbert. Which one has the least chance of getting a ring?
I'm going to say Josh Allen.
I'm going to say Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I can see that too.
I just don't feel the support's there, and I see what you mean. But do you want to elaborate on Josh?
I still see too much of his old self creeping up. He had 2 years ago. It felt like when they toe to toe for the Chiefs in the AFC divisional game. I think that was their peak, and I think for Josh Allen it might have been his peak. They're going to ask him to stop rushing as much, which unfortunately for a guy his size and his ability to do so is going to limit what he does. And I think he's going to start piling up injuries personally. Obviously, that's all speculation, but I don't know. I don't know. If he stays in Buffalo his whole career, I think he might retire without winning one.
Oh, you hate to see it, but okay. Justin, thank you. We're trying. I'm hopped up on coffee. I'll just tell you that for today. But, appreciate you, buddy. This is an interesting one. Doug asked, whose jersey will you get if they make the 53 roster, buddy?
I'll make y'all happy about this one. I will get a Justin Ross jersey if he makes the roster.
Nice. I like to hear that. I am not a jersey guy. I got Joe Montana and I got Derek, and that's all I got.
If y'all ever want to send me a jersey, I'm open. I love jerseys.
Okay, we got Dez's. Thank you, sir. Miss Holly, thank you. No question you want to send support for showing up my profile pic. Ooh, is that another profile pic, Miss Holly? I am shocked and concerned. You're not following him these days, are you? Okay, just checking. Sorry. But I like to see it. And thank you, Miss Holly, for your support and for being here. I've been watching you for a few years, and you seem more up with this team than ever. Thank you. I appreciate that. We try. I got to tell you guys, Dan coming onto the channel saved my bacon. I'd have burnt out and faded away by now if it wasn't for Dan. So,
probably would have.
Gary and Seth help us out quite a bit, but having a right hand like you makes it go round. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you. I love being here. You guys are fantastic.
Mr. Vansel, thank you. Appreciate your support. With CH not having a fourth-year option or a fifth-year option picked up, and knowing he probably won't be back, do you expect him to play with a chip on his shoulder? I certainly hope so, because not coming to the parade and just generally every comment I've heard since then has been kind of generally lackadaisical about, whether he wants to be here or not. I hope he shows us something different. I really do. Because I think he does still have ability. This offense just clearly isn't something that he's comfortable with and hasn't grown into. But I think he can play for somebody in this league.
Yeah, I talked about it with Matt Waldman today. Like I still think he's a good NFL back. I really do. I believe it. I mean, earlier last year he was efficient. He was scoring touchdowns. He was effective. Got hurt again, and just if you can't stay on the field in this league, you're not going to be able to make an imprint. And I think his rookie season he did make an imprint. I really do. I think he played well. I feel like people kind of forget that he was actually still a pretty good player when he was a rookie. And since the injuries took him, it's been all over for them since then. So I still think he can be a productive part of the offense, but we'll see what happens this year.
Agreed. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate you. Let's see. Got that. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Big Dame. Apex, no. There'll be no shaving of heads. I ain't got much left to begin with.
And I'm not going to wear a diaper. Sorry, that's not happening.
Actually, I don't even mind shaving the head because there's this giant spot on the back. So
I shave my head for the most part anyway. Like it gets short anyway. I used to shave it down completely, so I got no problem with that. I was in the military.
There you go. Yeah, that's easy, right? Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed your Monday night. Thanks for all the great questions and all your support, super chats, et cetera, et cetera. Nice to see the old crew around. We're going to keep doing it. Don't worry. We ain't going anywhere. We'll be up. We'll be up on Sunday night for the lives, most of the lives, and we'll definitely be
every
here.
One of them.
Yeah, right. And we'll definitely be here for Q&A. So we have some cool content coming. We're going to shift. I have a couple new ideas. I think Gary might have a new idea. He's very, very technologically advanced, so you might see some cool stuff from that. Lot of changes that we can incorporate into the channel as we continue to try to see this team from every angle. I can't say 360 because it's a Microsoft trademark, but you guys know what I mean. So anyway, have a great Monday night and a good Tuesday. We'll have content for you tomorrow afternoon. Take care. We'll talk to you next time.